All right. Good evening, everyone. Freebase here. Another after hours session. So let's jump right into it. Just give you a kind of an overview of what we do. We look at our watch list, obviously the overall market. In our case, looking at the SPY here, and then we'll go into some of the tickers that we've looked at and traded today, and looking to trade potentially tomorrow and moving forward. So first, let's start off with the SPY, SPY. Crazy breakout today. So to new all-time highs on the SPY, which is amazing. We had drawn this pennant here that was forming. Obviously, there was some uncertainty given the FOMC meeting today. So the Federal Reserve decided to leave rates unchanged, which is great for the market. Obviously, super positive reaction to that. Again, just breaking out over the 462 level that we had peaked out at yesterday, and had a high of intraday over the 465 level, and actually squeezed in the after hour session to 465.50. So we're potentially gapping up into tomorrow. So super positive news for the market. So the show goes on. So let's jump into some tickers that we looked at today, some that we traded. Well, first we'll start with some of the fan favorites and what they've become known as meme stocks. Let's start with GameStop, GME. Really nice breakout on GME. Something that we talked about yesterday. It was squeezing into after hours. It had a high of 226 after hours, and today it ripped from 213 all the way to 255. So an amazing morning. Obviously, the dust kind of settled here, and it broke down, and it's back at an interesting level still at the 216. I think it closed at 218.33, but we're going to be anticipating some more volatility, obviously, from these meme stocks as we move forward, as the market stays positive, and even if it's negative, these are tickers that people like to play. So just looking at the daily chart here, just to get some levels. Now we're getting into some interesting territory here on GME, and the 250 level was a pretty big one that it broke today, but obviously couldn't hold it. But the next level really is about 280 on this. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of volatility in the meantime, but that's a pretty big deal for GME to have broken out, and it's still it's going to be pretty interesting moving forward over the next couple of weeks or so. So definitely want to keep an eye out on GME. Next, we'll jump over to AMC. Relatively similar breakout, not to the extent of GME. I mean, GME had broken in comparison. Let's call it $52 on AMC is essentially what happened to GME. So there's still a ways to go for AMC. Now, just looking on an intraday basis, basically we had it charted at around $43 where the resistance, major resistance level was, and then I also was anticipating a potential break of 44.52. This is all previously charted, and it didn't quite get to the 44.52 level. It kind of slapped its head against the 44.21. Well, let's just call it the $44 level. So it was able to crack it, but wasn't able to hold. Broke down to even under $40, but then settled at around 41 at $40.79. And so that's kind of where it's at right now. But it was a pretty nice breakout out of the gates here. Part of why it really kind of broke down was because of Bed Bath & Beyond broke down. Now, so BVPY. Actually, before we jump into that, let me just add in a link to our chat room where we can discuss this further. So feel free to click the link in the chat here. It's also in the description where our chat room is, and we have. Let's see if I can pull this up here. Just bear with me. All right, perfect. There it goes. And that. And so, yeah, in our chat room, we're talking about tickers. We post our watch list daily, so you'll find the high stocks in the market, every day, right there in our chat room. It's free to join, and yeah, look forward to having you there. So, back to the beam stock. So, a BVPR, Bed Bath & Beyond, squeezed up 100% yesterday, and it sold off. So, we had profits being taken. Bed Bath & Beyond is, doing some restructuring. They have a share buyback program, all the stuff we covered yesterday. But, it really broke out and went to this pretty kind of prominent level of resistance that we had identified. One being the $36 level is actually the price target from a couple different analysts, and so naturally it's not going to kind of exceed that. So but that's something that we've talked about in our one-on-ones and things like that. So but it got to $32. It rejected that level, tried to squeeze back up, broke down, and then out of the gates, profit taking happened. And then in the after hour session today, you actually had some shorts covering here. So a little pop to a little over $21, about $21.50. So we can start to see that the shorts are already starting to cover their positions. They did pretty well on that short today, but we're going to keep an eye on this because this is kind of why the other meme stocks started to run, and so they kind of move together. So as the attention gets drawn to things like VVPR as shorts start to cover, you can look for another potential squeeze tomorrow. Then there'll be possibly some more activity in the AMC and as well as GME. And then one other, what's become known as the meme stock is Blackberry. Blackberry did almost the same thing, right? So it squeezed in the after hour session yesterday and ripped this morning. I got all the way up to 12.39, rejected, kind of faded all day, and then you have some shorts covering here. So the VWAP basically is around that 11.90s, call it $12. So we'll be looking for more activity there and more buyers to step up and push this back over $12, where we'll have some obvious levels that we'll look to potentially trade, as it comes in. So, and then what's a newer meme stock is something that we get a lot of questions on, which is the main reason why we covered it, but it's a lot of really good price action on this name. That's DWAC. So Digital World Acquisition Company. This is Donald Trump's SPAC that's going rumored to go public pretty soon. And basically, we had an interesting bounce on this today. So it had a low of $61, and had a really sharp V bounce off of it here, like around between 10 and 10.15, and so shorts kind of got caught with a small rally, and it ripped all the way to 69.87. And actually, that was a level that we talked about yesterday that it actually broke, and it was just for a second, and then it kind of got re-shorted again. So there's still a lot of volatility in this name, both sides, but we do anticipate this to start to die down and maybe fizzle down. But the $70 level is crucial. So we'll keep watching it for some more price action, and again, we'll trade it as it comes. All right, so let's jump into some other tickers that we were looking at today, and we're looking for some continuation out of potentially the rest of the week. So one is AI. C3 AI. It's an interesting company. They most recent news that was pretty notable was a partnership with Google, and so they, whenever there's news with much larger companies, things get can get pretty crazy. So I had uh, basically um, basically this wedge drawn here. It basically broke out and it did kind of a trend reversal that retested this level here at right around $45, call it $44, and so it broke out above this line, pulled back, and retested that support around 44 and broke back out. So it was a really nice swing. This is the price action from today, which was pretty amazing. It pretty much went parabolic for like the first hour or so of the market open. So we were looking for a pullback, didn't really get one. We got one here, so that's when an opportunity presented itself. But we're still looking for some more continuation out of this. In terms of pricing, we're looking for $55 out of AI, and that's where another kind of major level of resistance is going to present itself. There's a lot of room to the upside on this name. I mean, this thing was, at $180, just earlier this year, but it's gotten really beat up. So, we've been noticing some call sweeps come in, and again, some news has also brought in some buyers. And, again, it's just something like this. You can't, with artificial intelligence being, super important part of the future, and they do a pretty good job. You can't really keep this down forever. So yeah, again, this is getting some action here, and we're looking for about $55 out of AI. Next, we'll jump into some EVs. Lucid's another super popular one right now. We talked about it yesterday, and essentially this bounce we actually charted yesterday, um, and and so you have like almost a bull flag here, right? And it broke out of this downward trend, so it's more like a downward channel, but some people call it a wedge. But it bounced perfectly off of this level, and it presented a really good situation for a couple of our traders. One super important level on this that I identified was a $35 level. So, we were looking for a bounce off of $35 today after that squeeze in the morning, and that actually happened almost to the penny. So it had a low, a kind of a midday low of 35.18, then bounced off of that and continued up, and then kind of formed a pennant into the close here, and because of the positivity in the market, we're looking for this to start to move up again and squeeze back towards the $40 level. But first things first, this candle over candle on the daily being 37.38 is kind of where you want to see this break through with ease tomorrow, and that is on Lucid, LCID. Another ticker that we've traded a lot and recently had some news. This is also EV related. It's Net Element, NETE. NETE had basically a call a few months back to not buy it over $12. So there's been a lot of volatility in the name, and it really broke down back in really after this last earnings in August. So it had one squeeze to about 1350, but then broke down and just kind of, because it's a merger that's pending, and there really isn't any revenue in the company, similar to a lot of the names out there. So this kind of just faded and died down. And now you kind of have a run up that's happening into earnings. So we're definitely playing that volatility, and they had some news, the other day, and that's kind of this candle here. This was yesterday, so it had a pretty big day, but as you can see, it's kind of been running up into that, and we have earnings here on the 15th, which is coming up really soon. So we're looking for some continuation in the squeeze here, but some pretty heavy resistance at the 1350 level. So 1350 is probably where we'll look to anticipate some downside pressure on this NETE. It has a lot of potential for sure to squeeze, and it's squeezed over $20 before, but again, we're anticipating earnings, and there's only so much that typically happens without any massive news, and the market kind of knows that earnings is coming, so there's going to be kind of a ceiling there. But also from a technical perspective, the $13 level has been major resistance for this name, recently. And after hours, it's actually trying to squeeze up, but again, it's positivity in the market, so it popped to 13. So again, we're going to look to, look for some downward pressure coming pretty soon over the next couple of days. So that is Net Element, NETE. And here's an exclusive, kind of a sleeper here. Next, ticker BVPR. So Vivo Power, they're a solar company as well as an EV company. They have an EV product for commercial vehicles. This thing has been pretty beat up, but pretty much once or twice a quarter. And we're anticipating that to happen relatively soon on this name. It's already kind of started. The accumulation is kind of happened here from the 465 level, and now it's over $5. So it's kind of out of this trough here, and we have basically it's back into this wedge that we had drawn. So what we're looking for is a move over 550 level. So 555 is exactly what we have charted. But once that kind of happens, as well as a little bit of news, most recent news was about them expanding into Saudi Arabia. So they definitely have some catalysts that are open. And again, it's a combination of solar as well as electric vehicles. And so it's kind of the best of both worlds. And then the other part of the theory here is that they have really high energy prices in the UK. So it's a UK company, and the energy prices are at near all-time highs, and they've gone up, I think, about 400% over the last few months in the UK alone. So, there's a lot of things kind of building into a potential run in this. And as you can see, back in September, there was a nice pop to 650. So naturally, that's kind of the range that we're looking for out of this. But if it can get over 550, and then we expect the kind of the cascading effect to happen, and other levels to be broken. So that's there on BVPR. All right, we're going to move a little bit quicker here and breeze through some of these other names. So next we have Lemonade, LMND. Lemonade is an insurance company that just announced that they are going to be getting into auto insurance. So, it squeezed this morning, and just kind of in anticipation of that news. So it started to move up last night, and then squeezed this morning. Had a really, really nice rip for all the way from 71 to 79. So $8 move out of the gates, and then kind of faded throughout the afternoon. This also has earnings coming up soon, so that's just going to be early next week, and so we're obviously going to be seeing some volatility there. The fact that they're launching this auto insurance, they're not going to have any data on it, right? So just be careful with trading this. There might be, in our opinion, probably more downside pressure than upside for now. But this is also a name that was over $180, just late last year, and even into this year. So there's a lot of upside, but it's not a favorite, right? There's been a lot of hedge funds that have sold their positions, and so we were kind of again looking for volatility, and that's what happened this morning. Some shorts got caught, and so it squeezed up to that 79 level. But we're going to look for more volatility throughout the rest of the week, and then maybe some downward pressure next week after earnings comes out. So that's on watch as well. Next is Firm AFRM. This has more potential all-time highs that we're looking at. This level today that actually broke in after hours, but the alert isn't going to go off until market hours tomorrow. But it's a level that we're looking at, which is the 162.31, and basically, if we look at the daily chart, this also has earnings coming up relatively soon, next week on the 10th. And so, it's safe to assume that this 165 is at least going to be cracked prior to earnings as we're kind of dealing with this run up into it. They've had a lot of good news. Affirm is kind of a buy now, pay later company that's had news with Amazon and also I believe it was Walmart. Don't quote me on that, but it was another large company that they are partnering with to provide this. I think it is Walmart actually. So this buy now, pay later kind of payment plan for larger items in the retail space. So pretty cool business model, and obviously it's a favorite. So there's a lot of revenue potential, and so that's kind of already getting built in. So yes, there's probably going to be a little bit more room to the downside after earnings. Maybe not that much, but in the meantime, we're anticipating over the next few days for this to kind of continue, and with the positivity in the market, we can look for the breaking of that 165.94 to maybe squeeze up to about 170. So, but AFRM firm, we're looking at that pretty closely right now. Next, we're going to bring up, speaking of Amazon, this is actually known as the Amazon of Africa. This is JMIA and JMIA, JMIA, and this kind of been beat up and it's been heavily shorted. It's been as low as $16 just recently over the summer, and it's bumped its head above and below the $20 level, and we're kind of back there again. So earnings isn't too soon. Well, actually, it is. It's on the 16th, so just in a week or so. But the interesting thing, 2 weeks. But the interesting thing about Jumia is that the it really hasn't, the opportunity hasn't really presented itself in its numbers, and that's why it's been kind of drugged down. But it can really move. So the float is relatively small, and what we're looking for is the break of $20, and we have a target of $22 on Jumia right now. It squeezed up this morning, so it had a nice reaction out of the gates to 1955, and then we actually went long around 1899, right as it broke VWAP again into the afternoon, and we're looking for continuation throughout the rest of the week, and again we're looking for $22 out of it. So we'll be super cautious around that $20 level, and as you can see, it did kind of sell off from that level previously, but we're looking for it to bounce, and it is bouncing pretty nicely. So we'll see what happens at $20, and we'll play it accordingly, either to the upside or the downside. But that's JMIA. Next, we'll take a quick look at Nike. We mentioned Nike had some call sweeps come in yesterday, so that was definitely on our list for today. We had really nice reaction Nike even squeezing up its after hours at 172.88, and we're looking for more all-time highs on Nike. So that is relatively close. So we have 174.38 here, and so it might not get there right away, but again, with positivity in the market, as long as the SPY can continue, then we can definitely see 175 being touched pretty soon on Nike. But again, we'll play it either way, but it's just something that we're looking at. And then real quick, we're going to jump into a couple of the earnings plays that are live right now, and we'll be looking at over the next day or two. So one being GoDaddy, that's GDDY. They had positive earnings today, this evening, and they're starting to gap up. So nice reaction, nice bounce, and they're now over 70 bucks. They're at 73. We're potentially looking for a pullback to $70.55 before that continuation, and then we have a couple other levels that we're looking at. 75, 85 is what we're looking at for this move to kind of continue to most likely tomorrow. So GoDaddy is definitely on watch. Next we have Qualcomm, QCOM, and again, positive reaction out of the off of earnings, and they did pretty well. Obviously with this pop, and in terms of levels, well, we're probably looking at a little bit of consolidation in the morning around this 148, and maybe kind of getting back into this red, these red lines that we had charted before, and then a potential breakout, and then we'll just kind of look at where it can go. So a lot of resistance here previously that it's cracked pretty easily with the positive earnings, and over the basically the 150 and potentially the 152 level to kind of get into this gap that we have here at 153. So that's kind of what we're looking for out of Qualcomm tomorrow, and after kind of a consolidation period, maybe a little pullback, kind of a dip and rip to the 150s again to close this gap, and we'll see what it can do at that point. But definitely a good reaction to Qualcomm today. Next, we're looking at Take-Two, so TTWO, Take-Two Interactive. They had some positive earnings today, so that's definitely on watch for tomorrow. A couple dollar pop here, so I'm definitely going to be looking a little bit into kind of what happened here in terms of their earnings. So their estimate came was in a lot higher than it was in the actual. So they didn't actually beat on their EPS, but they could have had some good guidance. So that's something that we'll dig into later today. So we expect there to be some a nice move out of this tomorrow. Probably looking at seeing what it does at this 187 level, which is a clear level of resistance on the daily chart. So in terms of where we see it going, if there's follow through, this thing can definitely move. It has run up into earnings already if you look at the daily here, but as far as a continuation setup with positive reaction to earnings, it can easily get up and move towards that $200 level. But again, we'll dig a little bit deeper in there. That is on watch for tomorrow. And then lastly is FSLY, FSLY. FSLY had an interesting, volatile evening today. and you can see here. So nice positive reaction, a massive breakout to 64.77, and just immediately rejected that level and pulled back. We're assuming because of the conference call that happened, the earnings call from the company. It's definitely struggled. If you look at the daily chart, I mean, this thing's recently been scraped off the ground. At the $35 level. That also happened in August, and it kind of just that's what happened. So in August, this thing broke down to the $30 level. It bounced, right, pulled back, and so it's almost like a double bottom here that it has formed, and it broke out and into earnings. You have some positivity that some buyers stepped in even today, anticipating uh, this pop. So you have a really nice reaction, assuming that some shorts got caught, assuming that this wouldn't break back down because it was moving up into earnings, and they haven't had good reaction to the last earnings. One of the issues with them were they were losing customers and not onboarding as many, and they're in the data and cloud space, so that's a pretty big deal. But that squeeze to $64, that's definitely a nice target. But it broke out over 58 or 59 all level that we already had previously charted. And so we have some levels here, 56.71, 55.40, that we're looking for some bounces off of into tomorrow. So because of this, kind of negative um, response to that breakout, we're looking for some consolidation in this range before it can move up again. So FSLY is definitely on watch for tomorrow as well. Well, that is it for us here at Freebase this evening. I hope you enjoyed that video. We have our chat room, our Discord that we definitely invite you guys into, and we'll look to see you guys tomorrow. And just hop in the Discord. Check us out on other platforms. So follow, like, subscribe. We're at Freebase everywhere. So have a great evening. Thanks a lot. Be well.